Good morning, everybody. It is September 29th. Man, this month is almost over, and so is the third quarter of 2023. And this is Real Estate Talk TGIF, brought to you by Real Estate Skill Builder, as well as Modern Agents, where we are based in basic thought and skills to help people become listing agents and get them through a certain framework. And we do that on a regular basis. Today, we have Colton Whitney with us today, a guy I've seen and recently met in person, and just a great badass when it comes to the real estate business that knows his shit. And we're gonna have some great conversations. Welcome, Colton. So glad you're here with me today.
Thank you, Dave. I appreciate you having me.
Welcome. So we're gonna get started in just a minute, but Nelson, hit the videotape. Real estate agents, are you looking to acquire clients consistently to grow your business and income for a great lifestyle? Well, this is Dave Finale, and I'm here to bring you the Real Estate Skill Builder broadcast, Real Estate Talk TGIF, brought to you by Real Estate Skill Builder and the Modern Agent team. Good morning, everybody. Again, this is Real Estate Talk TGIF, episode number 277, with 274 weeks in a row. Yep, that's right. I haven't missed a week in 274 weeks. That's over 5 years. So we're excited about our guest today, who is Colton Whitney. Hey, Colton, welcome.
Thank you, Dave. I appreciate it. 5 years.
Good for you. What's that?
5 years. Good for you. And that intro.
Yeah. Thank you. We try to
Good Morning America. This is nice.
We try to make it fun. We try to do a lot of things. And that's the whole point behind what we do. You know, I tell the story now and then about, I saw someone do this over 5 years ago doing a crappy job. And I said, I can do this. I can show up every week. Didn't know it was going to go this long. And now I just can't stop. I'm kind of addicted to it, which is a good addiction.
That's cool.
And
that's kind of how everybody got into real estate. We had a horrible real estate agent, and most of us thought, I can do that.
Well, exactly, right? So anyway, I ask everybody the same question when we start, Colton. I'm going to start with you. What does TGIF stand for?
Thank God it's Friday.
You are so close. You are so close, Colton. I mean, don't feel bad. Most people do get it wrong. Plex got it wrong last week. It's thank God it's finale. I mean, that's really,
there we go. All right, that works.
Makes a lot of sense, right? So
that works.
So Colton, you've been in the business some time. You've seen some differences and some changes in the market, especially recently. Tell me about your journey. Tell me, tell the audience where you started, why you got started, and the changes that you've seen.
Yeah, I was 16 years old when I found out I was going to be a dad to that little girl back there, which is wild to me because she will be here in about probably 10 minutes because she turned 16 on Monday. So we are, oh, wow. It's very strange and bizarre to think that we were the same age. But I knew I always wanted to do something. I knew I wanted to own some type of business. Started in construction with my dad. And when you're a kid watching dad in his construction business, I was like, well, cool, I'll come work for you one day. And my dad was very adamant about, no, you won't. He said, I don't want you in the construction business. I want something better for you. And at the time, I remember actually being insulted by it. And I was like, Dad, it could be I want it to be a family business the way it was for you. And he was like, son, I just don't want this life for you, period. It's a horrible business. So his best friend at the time, Frank Napoli Sr., he was a legend in Las Vegas. And I used to always watch him as a kid and how he would operate in business. And we'd be out at the lake, and he always had 2 cell phones, and he always had his huge stack of 30 sheets that were all of his listings. And the guy would just sit back on his phone, and I would just watch him, and I'd watch him talk to people, and I'd watch how he would engage. And I was like, this is cool. This seems like it'd be fun. And I was like, hey, can I come work for you? And he goes, yeah. I was like, cool. When can I start? And he's like, hold on, kid. You gotta turn 18 first. You gotta finish school. You gotta do all this stuff. So anyway, ended up having my daughter at a very young age. Wanted to be an attorney, but my parents couldn't afford to put me through school, and I definitely didn't have the ability to do it myself. So got into real estate in 2008 in Las Vegas, and it felt like that scene out of Wolf of Wall Street where he finally gets licensed to be a broker. And the day he shows up was the day that everything shut down. Because right when I got there, everybody's like, good luck, kid. This business sucks. You're going to hate it. Nobody can have any success in this. But for me, it's all I knew. I didn't know anything better. I didn't know 2005, 6, and 7. I didn't see the good market.
Right.
Which gave me a very distinct advantage of being able to be okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, doing the activities that I knew I had to do because I didn't have any other expectation. So my very first deal that I ever did was a $27,000 condo. It took 8 months to negotiate the short sale. By the time the commission was paid, I owed money on the deal because we had to pay a short sale negotiation fee. And dude, I still remember that day. I broke down into tears because I'd been working at that point for 8 months. I hadn't generated a commission. The business was horrible. And I was like, I don't think I'm going to be able to make this. And I got my check. I owed money. Thankfully, my mentor certainly didn't make me pay that. But I was like, well, why do I owe? And it's because the short sale negotiation fee. So I said, well, can I start negotiating these short sales? So he goes, yeah, if you want to do it, let's have you do it. So he threw me in there. And I fell in love with that process. I'm a very systems person. I'm a very process-oriented person. So I built out our short sale department. We started doing a ton of short sales. Got my start in Vegas, and then we did well. The year that I decided to leave Vegas was 2013, 2014. We did 412 transactions, most of which back then those were short sales. But I hated Vegas. I hated the heat. I hated the lifestyle. I hated Vegas. So I decided to start all over and come here to Orange County.
So, all right. So you went in like 2013, 14 to Orange County. And so how did you get started and what happened and how did it move forward?
Yeah. So we just used to come for vacation. And one Sunday we were sitting in Huntington Beach having ice cream back when it was Ruby's. And I was looking out at the water and I looked at my best friend who was my business partner at the time. I said, hey, I don't want to come home. And he laughed and I was like, I'm serious. I don't want to go home. Like, I love this place. I hate Vegas. So started putting that into the works and started the business in Orange County, which I thought, like, I can just take what I've learned. I can take what I do and I can go into Orange County, which I learned very quickly is one of the most agent condensed it's one of the most agent rich populations. We have one real estate agent for every 6 people. Which is ridiculous. Yeah, we have like 68,000 real estate agents in Orange County. So got started out here, got my ass kicked. They tried to get me to come home multiple times because they're like, dude, we can use you out here. I was struggling. And when I say struggling, I was struggling. I was showering in a community. We had a community pool and I would go hop the fence and shower in it because I couldn't afford to turn on my power, my gas, or my water. But I was like, no, I'm telling you, man, like it's gonna pop. Something's gonna happen. Like I can feel it. We're about to have this stuff start to work. And then it did. Things started working well. And after things got back up and running, ended up in a 3-year. Like we just had all of these just major financial challenges. And these things, when things would start going good, I started over. Then we started doing good again in Orange County after a couple years worth of struggle, as you do as a new agent. And then we got into a 3-year lawsuit and I had to shut down all of our marketing. We were suing each other over the business, ended up having to file bankruptcy, and then it felt like I was starting from scratch again. But the part that makes that the most exciting is I've been through this now. Like I've been through the struggle. I've been through the hard markets. I've been through it. And the nice part about going through what we're experiencing today is you've already been through it and you have the ability to look through it through that lens of opportunity as opposed to that lens of fear. And it's like right now there's so many people looking at the market and they're fearful. And it's like I've been through it and I have that 2020 vision that experience gives you to know that things are going to get better. And all we have to do today is do the activities that are proven to generate the results and just do it with consistency. And the people who do are going to crush it when this all turns.
Exactly. And I've seen and experienced people such as yourself where they didn't know the good times back in 05, 6, 7, 8, whatever it was. And when things went bad, that's when they got into the business. I mean, people we know, such as I believe Kyle Whistle and Dan Beer and those people, same thing was for them. That's when they got into the business, I think, for the most part. And this is a time where you're prepared for. You understand what it takes. You understand the difficulties. Has it made it easier for you to float through the market we've had in the past couple of years and the change?
So truthfully, I can say this for sure. And everybody always talks about what's your why? And I got one for sure. But if it wasn't for my daughter, I'd still be doing what I'm doing. If it wasn't for my parents, I'd still be doing what I'm doing. My parents, they've got a whole thing going on that it's unfortunate. I have to make sure that they're okay. But it's like, I'd still be doing this because this is what I love doing. So it's like a good market, bad market. I don't ever take the throttles off. I enjoy growth. I enjoy seeing what we're capable of. I enjoy being able to push through. But yeah, I mean, the last couple of years, was it a lot easier? Substantially. It's a huge tailwind behind us, and it made everybody think they were superstars. And it's like, well, now once the market shifted, everybody had to take their capes off and humble themselves a little bit. It's like, I love those posts every 2 seconds. Sold for in 1.5 hours with 732 offers. Who you work with matters. Shut up. No, it doesn't. Everybody's doing that. My daughter could list a property today on the market and have 16 offers tomorrow. But this new humbling market is when we get into that more skill-based, which it's different, but this is the type of market that I get excited for. There was an analogy that I just heard, and it's when Blizzard comes into the East Coast. You're on the East Coast, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're on the East Coast, and I don't know where, but when a blizzard comes in and McDonald's and Apple shut down, McDonald's takes the hit for the financial fiscal year, period. They're going to take a hit because instead of going out to McDonald's and eating at McDonald's, they just stayed home and they satisfied that meal sitting and eating at home. Apple and all the people who are going to go there, instead of going during the blizzard, they're just waiting for it to warm up and for the weather to get nice again. So all it's doing is displacing that demand and putting it on the other side of the storm. Apple's still going to sell cell phones. They're still going to sell. Their year's not going to be impacted by that storm. What we're dealing with in the real estate market is just like when people can't get to the Apple store because of interest rates and affordability. The demand's there. It's just pent up and they're waiting for the dam to break. And when it does, the people who are participating in the market and not being spectators because they're terrified and paralyzed by the fear, the people who are actually being participants, doing the activities that are proven to generate the results, those are the ones that are on the other side of this are going to reap the rewards from it. And it's just something that I've seen happen over and over and over again. So we're just making sure that we make those deposits.
It's with the experience I've gotten and how long I've been in the business, I've seen when the market when the interest rates were at 18 to 20%, which is when I started in business, basically for the most part. And then, the 80s and the crash at the end of the 80s. And then the 90s, which was, like this, you didn't know what was going on. And then, of course, 9/11, which changed a lot of things. And then the subprime market bullshit that happened, in the beginning of the 21st century. And now we've got this, and the interesting thing about this, I think, Colton, is that I think what we've got here, like the cycle was coming anyway, but I believe that this is government aided, and I'm not going to get into that. But what I mean is because of the money and everything else anyway, but here we are. When you talk about pent up demand, do you think it's going to be different than previous situations like this where there's so much pent up demand, things go crazy again?
Yeah. So this is because everybody right now is like, well, how do I stop people from getting on the fence? Or how do I get my people off the fence?
Off the fence, right.
And the answer, what we're being really intentional with is you got to stop them from getting there in the first place. And it's like, how do we do that? And everybody's waiting for people to become fearful before they start trying to instill confidence in the market. And it's the number one mistake that you can make right now. Because when you get that lead or that person walked into that open house, or if they inquired on Zillow or Redfin or Realtor.com, however they generated and you got the lead,
right?
There was some type of excitement where they said, okay, I'm going to talk to an annoying ass salesperson. I'm going to go through that process because I'm showing some serious intent. And it's like now what we have is these people who are getting fearful and they hop back on the fence. But once they're on the fence, it's just a matter of time. Like that once they're on the fence and they become fearful, now you have to, and the best agents are really skillful at getting people off the fence faster because they know how to instill confidence. They know how to follow up with value-based deposits. They can expedite that release of fear, and they can replace it with confidence. But if we're being more intentional from the beginning, and we talk about how, and this is a real thing, people are excited because they're saving $500, $600, $700, $800 a month on rent, while my homeowners are celebrating thousands of dollars a month in equity gains. So the renters who are paying they're 100% interest, which is such a cliche, but they're paying 100% interest to a landlord. That landlord is celebrating thousands of dollars in equity gain while they're celebrating a couple $100 a month in rent savings. And it's like, if we can just be more intentional about creating the narrative for people and helping them keep that perspective of this is a valuable decision for me to make. This is a good decision that I can be confident in the market, because we're arming people with the education that they need. and the ammunition that they need to defend against all the uneducated opinions that are articulating the market, you can keep people off the fence so long as you start planting that seed and creating that confidence out of the gate, and then you continue to do it throughout the process. But people are waiting until Uncle Bob gets in their ear, they get on the fence, and at that point, it's just a matter of time.
So, all right, great. So what you said is like 100%, I'm going to say, different than what really is going on with most agents. And you just said, okay, so I put myself in there on lead on Redfin or Zillow or whatever it is. Now I'm going to have to talk to this salesy, stupid agent, and you go through that. So what I'd like you to do, if you would, please, give me the example of that agent, and then give me the value-based deposits.
Value-based deposit, like for me, it's the people who go, hey, we're putting our plans on hold. Like there's just agents, and I'm telling you, you can do this with some of the most successful, experienced agents, and their handling of this objection is grade school. It is so horrible. One of the biggest problems that we have is you'll try it. Like I got my daughter. I don't know if you're married, if you have kids, but I'm sure some people watching do. When you have a spouse or when you have a kid that is emotionally being motivated right now, their emotions are at their all-time high. They're angry. They're sad. Something just happened. They're frustrated. The worst thing you can do in the world is be like, Dave, you're tripping. It's not a big deal. This isn't going to matter tomorrow. You're wrong. I'm right. You have no reason to feel the way you feel. We know how that ends up if that's how you approach your spouse or your kids. You got to let people feel what they feel, because people are fearful of the market. Agents are fearful of the market. And that's what I love. I love when people are trying to, it's like, why aren't you out buying? I don't see you doing it. And people will just try to fight and battle people's emotion with their logic. And if you don't have that relationship with people, and if you're asking questions and saying things that your relationship doesn't yet justify, all you're doing is cutting the string to the balloon, which is what I say, because fear is like helium in a balloon. And when you cut it, your job is to make sure that you keep that string wrapped around that balloon, so you can let them feel what they feel, because we know over time that fear will start to dissipate, that helium starts to release, and it comes back to earth. Your job as the agent is, can I expedite that release of fear? Can I expedite that replacement of confidence in the market and keep that string attached so that when they're finally ready to get off the fence and they're finally ready to get back into the market, you're the agent who's been there guiding them, nurturing them, and not doing it in an annoying, obnoxious way. But what most agents will do is battle their emotion with logic, tell them that they're wrong. Look what all the economists are saying, supply and inventory and affordability, saying things that they've watched on Stephen Thomas, or saying things that they've often with Steve Harney. It's like, I get it. I'm glad you can give the surface level articulation of what's going on.
Right, exactly.
But when you try to battle their emotion with logic, it falls on deaf ears.
Exactly. And people get pissed. So let's talk about value-based deposits. Let's talk about what they're going to do in order to actually nurture it properly and to get them off the fence. Go ahead. So
the problem with everybody's follow-up, and everybody's looking for that easy button. Like, hey, what's the plug-in to my CRM? What's the automation? What's the automation that I can use that's going to do my job for me because I'm too lazy to do it?
Yep.
And the reality of it is, right now, there's a time for effective. There's a time for efficient. Efficient is when you load 300 names into a dialer and you can call 300 people. Well, congratulations. You dialed 300 people, but 2 people picked up their phone. That's not an effective means of calling or prospecting in any way, shape, or form. Effective is when I go one by one and I start calling Dave, and I call Dave one time and he doesn't answer, and I call Dave again. He doesn't answer, and I call him that third time. And when you get that third call, it piques the curiosity of the person that you're reaching out to and goes, shoot, something might be wrong. This might be somebody I need to talk to.
Triple call.
So they pick up the phone, war dialing. So there's efficient and there's effective. We are in a market where your follow-up cannot be efficient, because it's going, like right now, people have very specific fears, whether it's affordability, whether it's interest rate, home price, whatever it is that's going on, they have actual fears. And a value-based follow-up is not, hey, Dave, I know yesterday you told me that you're putting your plans on hold. I just wanted to check in with you and see how your home search is going. And we know the answer. It's not, Dave. I'm still fearful of the market. I'm still not jumping in. Yeah. I don't know you. I don't like you. I don't trust you. I don't have a reason to open up to you and give you the information that you're going to need to be an effective agent for me. So now you got to do your job and create that trust and to build that rapport and to make you be somebody who I trust. And it's not going to be by you telling me that I'm wrong and I should be buying right now in the marketplace. So a value-based deposit is when you tell me you're fearful of values dropping. A value-based deposit would be, hey, I read this article And something from Keeping Current Matters, or if you want to do something from a local economist, I try to keep it hyper local, because what's happening in the entire country is not what's happening in your particular market. So if you can tailor it and you say, hey, I just read this article, it reminded me of the conversation that we had last week. I thought you'd find a lot of value in it. If you have any questions, I'm always here for you. And it's like you just make a deposit and you're just planting a seed. You're not being annoying. You're not trying to push them. You're not trying to create, but you're creating the perspective change by giving them an education. And then but there's layers to this. You can do that, or you can do like a quick 60-second market breakdown that's going to summarize that entire thing, because people do not have the attention span to watch a 45-minute video or to read a 3-page article. Value-based deposits are when somebody tells you that there's no available inventory, that you as an agent then go tell them, hey, I have an inventory search team that will identify homes in the areas of interest that fits the criteria of what you're looking for. Then we can create inventory. Otherwise, without our efforts, won't be there. And you can talk about, and everybody has one, because I actually do have somebody in my office who's in charge of hunting out off-market inventory. But if you don't, you're the inventory search team. Right. And if you can sit down and talk about how you're going to create something that without you, they won't have, you're going to magnetize yourself to them. And they're going to be like, hey, Dave is doing something that none of these Vanna White realtors are doing. He's articulating a strategy. He's showing value, because we always hear, you got to show more value. What's that mean? What show more value mean? And it's all I hear agents say. And then they're like, well, you just got to be more consistent. You got to be. No, you actually have to give a shit. You need to understand what's motivating somebody, because if you truly want to influence somebody, you need to understand what's already influencing them. And then once you have that, then you can go do those value-based deposits that are going to directly tailor to exactly what their fears are and what has them on the market.
As perfect as this is, and as simple as it sounds, this is a simple point of differentiation between you and that agent that's, just doing what you said. I mean, that simple script. I see you put your plans on hold. How's the search going for you? I mean, what the fuck? I mean, I hear that all the time. I see that all the time. And people wonder why, can you believe that person I've been following up with for 6 months bought from Joe down the street? Yeah, I can believe it. I love those questions when agents used to come into me and ask me those questions like that. And I'd say, yeah, I can't believe it. Then they get pissed at me and I tell them why.
Yeah.
But what we're talking about here and what you're talking about here is basically, and I'm going to call you the king of the follow-up difference, right? It's really simple, because there's a big difference in how you're following up and how you're staying in touch, and not like everybody else with and this is why I say the brokerage system is broken. Of the franchises and most independents, they're just doing shit the same way, and they're teaching the same things. Look, I'm a script guy, just like a lot of people, but I just use those scripts as a guide. That's it. My objective when it comes to a script is to be direct, be directed, be relational, and use them as just a guide if I need something. Otherwise, I'm having a conversation. I may use a question to get started, but everything else is going off that and going off the rails to what they want to talk about. And look, what pain they're running from or what pleasure they're running to, right?
Exactly.
So
go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, that's just 100% the difference. And the reality of it is, and I get it, it's hard. Like people, and I've been telling my team since March, hey guys, you're going to lose. Like, this is the perfect storm. Sorry, let me turn that off. This is the perfect storm for a shitty Q4. Like, it just is. You're going to have affordability at an all-time low. Home prices are going to be at a high. Interest rates are going to be at a high. Incomes are not there to offset it. You've got the holiday season that's going to come up. Then you've got the elections, which inevitably have objections built into it. I'm going to wait until I see what happens after the elections. And it's like, we've just got the perfect storm of excuses for reasons to be on the fence. And it just is what it is. And it's like, I know people want like this, I don't know what people are looking for. They want to be coddled or they want to be felt bad. It's execution season. Like, it is assassination season. Agents are going to get picked off left and right. So you can either just sit here and wait for the sniper to put his sights on you, or you can just shut up and start doing the activities that are going to create the results, and understand that the activities that you do are going to be very discouraging. Like, you have to understand that you're going to have to talk to a lot more people to get an appointment. You're going to have to set a lot more appointments to get somebody to write an offer. You're going to have to write a lot more offers to be able to get somebody pending. And there's just no other way around it. Increase your skill set, do more output. There's no other two ways to mitigate against this decrease that we're going to have in the fourth quarter. And what I hate to see, and what I see it now, people are looking at their pipelines. They thought they were sitting decently. And honestly, most people didn't. They didn't have anything in the pipeline in the first place.
Right.
But now they're looking at Q4. They've got nothing in the pipeline. And it's like, yeah, you got yourself exactly what you deserved, because your lack of effort and your lack of ability to just do the things that you're supposed to do has now created this environment to where most likely they're going to have to quit. And I see people just waiting until it's too damn late, and I do not understand it.
No, I see it 100%. And you know, we talk about, you know, you can sit and wait or shut up and do the activities. And it's one of the things I've heard you talk about, and I talk about all the time, is basically we have to inspect. There's an expression, inspect what you expect. But here's the thing for an agent, right? What do you expect? You expect to get, you know, to get results. You expect to build a business. It's not inspecting the results. It's inspecting the activities you're doing to get there. And are you really doing it? Talk to me about you talked about activities, right? You talked about doing the actions. One of the things we see all the time is agents want to do this. They say they want to do it, and they get the instruction from a coach or from their leader, such as yourself, and they don't do it. Is there, okay, I ask this of a lot of people, is there a switch that you can turn, Colton, on agents such as that to get them to actually do the work, to get them to actually show up, to get them to take their plan that they made maybe 8-9 months ago and actually execute on the action steps they said they had to do?
So this is the breakdown that I think we have in our industry. Not I think. I know for a fact this is the breakdown that we have in our industry. One, most people that are training and teaching people how to do it are failed real estate agents. Like, they just are. Most of the people that are managing brokerages are agents that couldn't make the money that they're looking to make, so they ended up babysitting for a brokerage. And I'm not saying that that's all of them, but we know that's the reality of the quality of the people who are teaching.
Agreed.
And we tell people, all right, well, you got to go cold call and you got to go door knock, and then they don't give them any tactical instruction. They don't teach expectation. They don't teach strategy. They don't teach, okay, I'm going to go door knock, but what's my entire point? To capture leads, to put into a database, to nurture, to stay in flow with, to stay in close proximity to follow up with value so that you can build up a pipeline, stay top of mind with that pipeline, and earn the privilege of being the agent that they're going to think of when that time comes. But they just say, go do an open house. And with no instruction, no guidance, they go do an open house, and they put out an open house sign-in sheet, and they say, hey, go ahead and fill out your open house sign-in. Go ahead and sign in. No. Okay. Or go ahead and sign in, and they write screwyou@gmail.com. And then by the end of the night, you got 3 scribbly numbers. You have absolutely no leads. And then you're like, well, open houses sucked. Well, why did it suck? Well, because only sellers came in. The neighbors came in. Your future, but that's not their fault. That's whoever's training them or not. That's their fault. They didn't set the expectation. They didn't give them the standard operating procedure for how they can do this activity and do it effectively in a way that's actually going to create a result. What they focus on is the end result, do the open house. What I need people to focus on is the process that will create the result. Like, we need to focus on the process of how you drive more traffic, how you collect accurate lead data, which we have a great SOP for, how you're going to then automatically have that information put into the database, because it's never going to make it from an agent's piece of paper into their CRM, to make sure that you have the expectations of what percentage of these leads can I realistically expect to transact within the next 6 months. And the national average is 6 months. The national average is it's going to take it only 10% of these people have any expectation or reality of actually transacting within 6 months. Great. Now I know that. How many leads do I need to generate before I can expect a transaction to result? It's 15. So in order for you to be able to expect a client for an open house on the National Association of Realtors averages, you have to get at least 15 leads to expect one. But most agents have absolutely no clue, because they don't have the expectation. So they generate 3 leads and they get bummed one hasn't converted. Well, you haven't even hit the minimum benchmark for what the average expectations are. And it's where we fail, is we don't give people the confidence. They have no idea what to do. They go try to do it without any strategy that will actually work. They clearly see this ain't going to work. And then they just get stuck in that paralysis. So one, we as an industry, we need to show people what to do. Then we need to make them prove competency in actually doing it. Shadow them, watch them, make sure that they're implementing it and executing the way that they are supposed to, so that you can then create the feedback loop that's going to allow you to improve their process, so that they can finally get off the ground and get this thing into the air. But we fail to do it. And it's like, so when you ask, how do you get somebody to get that confidence? The only way that any of us get confident at doing anything is by doing it. But we need to create an environment that makes it easy and no pressure for the agent to do it, so that they can prove, hey, I was able to do this today. I can then do it again tomorrow, and it gets easier. And each repetition and each day, and the more volume of those calls and those prospecting efforts that they do, that creates the confidence. But there's no role playing or objection handling. There's no nothing that you're going to practice that's going to give you the confidence to be an articulate and successful agent. You just have to go through the repetitions and do enough volume and give yourself enough time of doing those activities so that the results can come.
Which is why we do different things. You do things differently than most. I do things differently than most. We do. I mean, it's on the screen right now. We have a situation where we bring agents in and we stand next to them when they're making the calls. We're making the calls ourselves. We're working with them, and we're helping them get through what their fears and their doubts and everything, and helping them. What's the right thing to say? What's the right nurture line to say? Just like you're saying. So we've talked about lead conversion. I want to ask one other question about that with you. And that is, we've talked about the right thing to say and not the cheesy thing to say in all different words, but what is the cadence and what is the nurture? And so it's, you've got different people that are different times away, right? They might be 3 months away, 6 months away, a year away, whatever. Now, they all have to be treated differently. We know that, right? Yeah. The question I have really is not necessarily what we're going to send them. It's how do we remember who we have to talk to that somebody is 3 months and 6 months and 12 months? Is there an easy way so that we've got it set up to do that? I know this might be a loaded question, but
I could go for days on this one particular question.
I'm sure you can.
If everybody's got a CRM, like a Ferrari is a car and so is a Honda Civic. Both are a vehicle. Both have four wheels. Both will get you from point A to point B. One's just going to do it with a whole lot more fun. And it's like everybody's got a CRM, but most agent CRM is a digital pile of garbage.
Yep.
And the reality of it is most people's CRMs, maybe only 5 to 10% of that CRM, if they're good, is being communicated in an effective manner that's going to help expedite the release of fear and get somebody into the market.
Absolutely.
So we have here, and we obsess over it. And look, I got agents that do, and I got agents that don't. The ones who do great. The ones who don't. And it's if everybody in your CRM means something to you, nobody means anything to you. Like if you try to be someone to everybody, you're going to be nothing to anyone. And it's like the entire point, what we need to understand, and at all times, I need to know if I'm talking to Dave for our accountability meeting, the first question out of my mouth, Dave, who's your top 10? Who's your top 10? Who's going to be the highest likelihood of converting within the next 30 days? Who are those people? And I don't care if you've got a spreadsheet. I don't care if you got a CRM. I don't care if you've got a cardboard box and a Sharpie. You need to have a list of who your top 10 people are with the highest likelihood of actually converting. Yes. And the reason is because if all we do, and this is what happens every day, it happens in my team, and I say this shit every single day. If you spend, and I stole this from Robbie T. If you try to turn all your shit into gold in the process, you're going to turn your gold into shit. If you are trying to give everybody attention and trying to turn everybody to a yes, you're going to fail to discern who needs me the most today. Who needs my guidance? Who needs my education? Who needs my strategy? Who needs my implementation? Who needs my market knowledge, my content? Like who needs me today that I can just go pour all my time and my effort into so that I can make sure I am the one that they choose. And the problem is most agents have absolutely no understanding of time frame, no level of commitment. And it's like, yeah, there's follow-up A, B, C, D. Everybody's follow-up A, B, C, D. You could have your dad who's paying cash who said, son, go find me a house. That's a different type of A than the person who came in through an open house, barely gave you their phone number, felt super awkward and uncomfortable about it, doesn't have any intention of using you, but told you they're planning on buying a house within the next 30 days. They're both follow-up A's. So we need another level of value. And in our CRM, and you use tags, and I don't have to teach everybody what a tag is, but tags put people into buckets in your CRM. So I want a 5-star, a 4-star, a 3-star, a 2-star, because I can have a 5-star that's 12 months away. Follow-up A, B, C, and D does not work to truly be able to discern who's deserving of my time and my attention today, and who should I allow the system and the automations to nurture and stay top of mind and push through the funnel as I focus on the people who are here ready today, ready to write a check. But the problem is everybody in your CRM, most people don't have that clarity of who are my top 10, who are going to be the first people that I put all my time and attention into. Screw everybody else. I don't care if a follow-up C comes in that's a 2-star. If comes in and says, hey, I want a CRM on this product, I am going to first go make sure that my 10, the closest to transacting clients, are taken care of first. Then you can move your way to the lower quality clients. But you need to make sure that you're truly being able to discern who are my highest likelihood. And I want you to get specific with it. Like if I go to Dave and say, who are my top 10? Dave, who are your top 10 and how much money you're going to make from each of them? Because if you want to motivate yourself, if you know that you're behind and you're not pacing for your income goals, and you see that one client is a $30,000 commission and can bridge that gap for you, guess who should get your time and attention first? The $30,000 one. Like we need to have those lists and we need to understand who's deserving of our attention.
I mean, that's right. I mean, I can't even add anything to that. That's perfect. And it's got to be your CRM that's going to help you keep it organized and know when you have to call them and know when you have to set it up. But I mean, look, you have to be intentional in this business no matter what. I know that's a word that everybody uses about business and everything else. Here, the important part really is that it's your business, right? I think the biggest problem that we see is that we see newer agents seeing successful agents, and they don't see anything but the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
Right. They don't see anything but the tip of the iceberg. They don't see the 90% of the hard work they're doing, of the calls they're making, of the follow-up that they're doing, et cetera, et cetera. And one thing we haven't touched on, and it's one of the things that I think is most importantly, and you did mention it a few minutes ago, is accountability.
Yeah.
Right. How important is accountability, and how should it work with either a new agent or even yourself? First of all, how do you stay accountable to what your mission, vision, values are, and how do you put that for the people on your team?
If I invest in, just like, this is how much I believe in it. I invest so much money in coaches. I have a business coach. I have a real estate team coach, which coaches my team, and I'm on all those calls. I have my personal business coach. I have a finance coach. I have a fitness and nutrition coach. I have an agent attraction coach. Like, I have coaches for every aspect of my life. And I can tell you this, I've been doing this a long time. I've sold a lot of houses. I know how to do it. I wouldn't ever have to do a coaching ever again. And I know I could still have a very successful life. However, if I really want to improve the process, if I really want to shorten my path to getting to where I say I want to go, I do. And I'm a very disciplined, accountable person. Always have been, always will be. It's just something that I'm fortunate to have been born with. Like, I just like doing shit that I know creates results, and I like being uncomfortable.
Right.
However, having those coaches are the ones who can shine light on your weaknesses, because there is one thing for certain, and that's that we don't like to acknowledge our weaknesses. We like to focus on our strengths. And if you have a good coach, and there's levels to this, because there's great ones that aren't worth a dime, and there's horrible ones that aren't worth a dime, and there's great ones that are worth their weight in gold. And it's like, I want somebody who, one, is going to say, show me your P&L. Like, the people who show me your bank account, show me your P&L. Let me see your actual like, don't talk about your transactions. Don't talk about your I want to see what's actually happening underneath the hood, the health and the viability of the business. Those are coaches. And then when they can hold you accountable to holding a process that's going to improve each of those metrics in your business that are going to change your and everybody else who's affiliated with these lives. So accountability for us is the thing. Like, I have a group that for the last 5 years, they have nothing to do with my brokerage or nothing to do with my team, just 3 friends in the industry who we wake up and we send each other a Marco Polo every single day at 3:30 to 4 o'clock in the morning, depending on, we all have a different time that we say we're going to wake up. If we don't check in, we owe each other money. And you'll do that occasionally. There's times when I'm willing to pay the $150. That's cool. But I'm not going to do it every single day. I'm not going to create a habit out of it because it becomes too expensive. Like, accountability is the fastest path to getting to where we want to go. But the unfortunate thing is there's just crazy levels to it. And we are very light on ourselves. We are like, we're the best boss in the whole wide world, because we will allow ourselves to make every excuse. We'll allow ourselves to allow life to get in the way, because your kids ended up having to go to soccer. You knew they were going to soccer practice. You knew that they had a game. You could have easily adjusted your day and become more accountable. Exactly. You could have made better choices that would have allowed you to still do the things that you say you're doing for your kids. And it's like, if you're not going to, and a good coach and somebody who's accountable will truly hold you accountable to it.
So I just want to add something to that. I mean, what you basically said is that a lot of people will use their kids as an excuse. We use this as an excuse. We use their schedule as an excuse. A lot of different things. Here's the way I look at things, right? I am an individual that does not make excuses. I had a situation like 10 years ago where I was late to a meeting. I had forgotten about it, and I was thinking about all these excuses on the drive to this meeting I was going to be 20 minutes late to. And I said, wait a minute. What am I doing? I'm just hurting myself. It doesn't make sense, because if I break a glass on the ground and I say, oh geez, it dropped or whatever. I mean, I can't make an excuse for the broken glass, and I can't say I'm sorry, because I'm sorry doesn't fix that glass. No. The point is really simple. Be accountable to yourself and stop making excuses. Make choices. A lot of people talk about time management. And I really am a time blocker, because I know what I'm doing in 3 Wednesdays from now, and I know what I'm doing on January 16th. Yeah, I don't know what day that is, but I know what I'm doing on that day because of how my schedule is set up. The thing I'm saying to you is, look, we don't make excuses anymore. We just make better choices. So it's not time management, it's choice management. And just make the right choices to build a business worth having. Does that make sense to you, Colton?
And Dave, I want to, because I hear it every day. I've got a lot of agents who are on my team, and also that I coach here at our brokerage. And you get the same thing. It's like everybody, Tom Ferry, and I love Tom. He's great. But he always says, show me your calendar and I'll show you your future. And truthfully, I say, fuck that, because it's not the truth. Because you, Dave, you actually will adhere to your calendar. You do what you say you're going to do. The vast majority of agents, they already have their time blocked. They already have it on their calendar. It's what they then choose to do with that time instead that's put them exactly where they are today, wondering, am I going to make it or not? And this is where I break it down all the time, because I'll see agents, and even if you're being productive, you will trick yourself into thinking that it's okay. Because when I walk out and I see Dave at 9 o'clock, which our time to call is from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock, our prospecting is very distinctly set up for very first thing. Our follow-up is set up between 10 and 11. Most agents blur the line between prospecting and follow-up. Prospecting creates business of tomorrow. Follow-up maintains the business that yesterday's efforts created. So we separate the two. But then I go out and I see Dave sending a property to a client. Dave, what are you doing? Oh, my client wanted to see this house, so I'm setting up a tour. Oh, why are you doing it now? Well, because my client you're tricking yourself into thinking that the excuse and life getting in the way and the nuances of the business that are required of you, you're going to use that as an excuse not to do the activities that's going to create more of those appointments for you in the future. And I go, Dave, it doesn't matter. No, my client's freaking out. I had to do the request for repair. Couldn't you have done it at a different time? No, I had to do it. Well, let me ask you, Dave, if we were at if I was a $5 million listing appointment, I can guarantee you'd be sitting at that $5 million listing appointment today. And you wouldn't be sending properties. You wouldn't be sending contracts. You wouldn't be doing any of that stuff. So why is it that the time that's supposed to be dedicated to creating more of that business for you, why is it that you're allowing that to be removed? But if I was a $5 million, well, because there's a seller there holding you accountable to what you're supposed to be held accountable to. If you don't show up, you lose the business. There's a severe consequence. It's felt immediately. You as an agent don't want to do that. But when it comes to you and your own accountability to yourself, we let everything get in the way, even if it's productive, and it's still nothing but an excuse.
Exactly. Here's what I just want to share one other little nuance that I actually just learned for myself. I had a meeting with a nutrition coach this week, because I'm trying to get better and physically fit and everything else, and working a long time on it. I'm really committed to it. So I had a nutrition coach this week, and I said, I'm always hungry. I love to eat. I love to cook. Yada yada yada. And in the mornings when I'm supposed to be working, I'm just hungry all the time. She says, well, what does your morning look like? What do you have set up for your morning? And I said, well, we do our prospecting in the morning, and we do this, that, and the other thing. He says, Dave, you're using that as a distraction, as an excuse to not do the prospecting you're supposed to be doing. Here, I am called out because I'm using my food, my quote unquote appetite or hunger to get in the way. So that's something else that happens. And I just mentioned that because a lot of times we don't realize that we're actually making excuses, distracting ourselves. Being fit and being healthy in your business has a lot to do with your choices, as I said. So make sure that you're eating properly as well. But I just wanted to use that as an example of an excuse that a lot of us make that they don't think it's an excuse.
Everybody likes the softer approach and the more motivational and inspirational shit in it right now. As my grandfather says, y'all soft as baby shit. And it's that, like, the market's hard, and there's going to be those who are disciplined. Who I can't remember who just said it. If you don't discipline yourself, the market's going to discipline you. The market will do the disciplining for you. And it's just, you're going to do the things that you're supposed to do, or you're not. And I don't get how people are just continuing, like, they're waiting for the market to change its trajectory. And the vast majority of people agree, and economists and experts, that this is the market that we're in for the next foreseeable future. And
Right.
There's a lot of agents who I feel like are just waiting for things to improve to get them motivated to jump back in. And those people are the ones that are going to get assassinated. Those are the ones that are getting executed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, you know what, this has been, I mean, a great knowledge builder for a lot of people in education. I hope people got a lot out of this. I want to talk to you about, you hit on it earlier, but I want to talk to you about being productive and being busy. Right.
Yeah.
I hear from a lot of agents, and I do a lot of agent attraction, and I call them on and say, oh, I'm real busy. And honestly, when I had my brokerage years ago and first started working with a mutual friend of ours, John Cheplack, it was like, you know, I always wanted to say, you're busy. You're busy doing what? I know you've only done 2 deals in the past 12 months. What are you busy doing? But I never did. Now I do.
Yeah.
So people think they're busy by doing this busy work, and they're not being accountable to anything. But what is the best way, and what is the way and your outline for productivity instead of to being truly busy? Talk to me about that. And you talk about the 3 needle moving morning commitments.
Yeah, this is something that I believe in, and I do it religiously every single night. I have an alarm that goes off in my phone, and it tells me identify tomorrow's 3 commitments. And those 3 commitments have to be something that's going to move my business in the direction it needs to go, but I'm not allowed to use maintenance work. So is clearing out my CRM a needle moving commitment? No, that's maintenance work. That's making your bed. That's brushing your teeth. That is the shit that is just expected of you. What I'm talking about are what are going to be the non-negotiables. I have a friend of mine, Voltaire. This guy is a very wealthy man. He owns 50 doors in San Diego. If you're familiar with the average price point in San Diego, you understand how impressive that portfolio is. And he owns 50 doors. And Voltaire called me up and he says, hey, Colton, he called me because he had to ask me a question for something, and it was like 6:37. And I was like, hey, brother, how's your day going? And he goes, man, it's going good. And he sounded all excited, and he had a little pep in his step, and it just sounded different than what he normally does. And I was like, oh, good. I'm glad you're having a good day. Why is it so good? He's like, oh, I didn't think I was going to be able to go to the game. All my boys are down there right now at the stadium. I didn't think I was going to be able to go, but I just got my second lead for the day, so I can go. I was like, well, what do you mean? He's like, oh, I've had a rule since I got into the business. I have to get 2 leads per day, or I can't go home till 7. 2 leads per day, or I don't go home till 7. That standard has been set with his wife. That standard has been set with his friends. That standard has been set with everybody. He has a non-negotiable to where if I don't do this, I don't get to go home till then. And he holds himself accountable to that. So when I say your 3 needle moving commitments, a needle moving commitment is get 2 leads, or I can't go home till 7. A needle moving commitment could be Tom Ferry's 554. Talk to 5 new people, have 5 conversations and follow-ups, talk to 4 people in your database. What are those needle moving commitments, regardless of what's happening in the market, that's going to continue adding people to your pipeline that you can then nurture to turn into a transaction? What are those commitments that you're going to hit on a daily basis? Because the vast majority of people don't know and then show up living their day in reaction, checking their emails, checking social media. Billions of dollars is being spent to keep your attention away from doing the things that you say you're committed to doing. And if I ask anybody here watching this, are you committed? You're all going to raise your hand and you're going to say yes. And I call total and complete fucking bullshit. Sorry for the way I talk. Call my mom, Deanna Whitney. You can complain to my manufacturer there. She, like you shit, now I forgot. I felt bad for saying the F word. What was I saying?
Your commitment.
Oh, yeah. Oh, everyone's like, I'm committed. No, you're not. Go look at your dialer. Monday, you made 3 calls. Tuesday, you made 0. Wednesday, you made 72. Thursday, you made 1. That's not consistent. That's not, like, everybody confuses tenacity with consistency. I would rather have a very average, moderate output person who can string together that moderate output with consistency for months, years on end, and their level of success will be disproportionate than that person who's constantly just reading a new book to get their motivation. They show up for 3 days and then they disappear again. And it's like, you need to be consistent. Those daily negotiables need to be upheld. And if you don't have them, that's fine. You can go work as a barista at Starbucks, and they will give you your non-negotiables for $15 an hour. Like, you got to treat it like a real job.
That is 100% true. And that's why I wanted to ask you that question. It's like, I hear it all the time. I tell people, if you had a 9-to-5 job or some type of job where you had to be there sometime or whatever, you have to look at this business the same way. That commitment, and there's so many other ways to do that. I mean, look, if you get 1 or 2 qualified appointments a day, when you get those, go play golf. Go do this or go do that. Have a celebration for yourself, right? You earned it, right? It all depends on where you want to go, how much money you want to make, right? So, look, man, this has been really, really fantastic. I mean, one of the things I have to say about you, Colton, is the most productive and the people I love hanging out with the most are those that are non-wavering, number one, in their commitment, and number two, in their message and their consistency of what they say. You are number one of the most consistent and most committed people I have ever met, simply because your conversation from day to day, from time to time, is on point, the same thing. I am never going to be able to ask you a question a different way and get a different answer. And I'm sure a lot of agents try to do that because, look, that's just what they do. They want to ask you a question 5 different ways and hope to get the different answer. You're going to be succinct, and you're going to be strict with what you're going to say. And I appreciate that. And I also commend you for that. And thank you for that.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
I hope this had some value for you, and I hope this had value for everybody else. Next week, as you can see, we have Colton's Instagram on the screen. We also have this on the bottom. Cole, I didn't check this with you. Is that okay? What we got?
Yeah,
going?
Of course. Well, right. Please.
If you're looking to join this business or improve in this business in the Orange County area in California, this is the guy to talk to. There's absolutely no question. If you want to grow your business, this is where you go. I want to thank you for coming on. Next week we got more of a local individual coming, Antonio Stella from Connecticut, who is a member of one of our big groups. And we're going to talk about similar stuff, but we're going to talk about making more money in this business. I want to thank you so much for coming on, Colton. I've got 2 things for you before I finish. The first thing is, Colton Whitney, how do I help you grow your business?
You could send me agents who are willing to do the work that they're supposed to do. No, it's truthfully, what can you do to help me grow my business? Send me referrals. You got anybody here in Orange County, send them our way. You
got it, man. Look, again, I want to thank you so much. And I know, we've known each other, of each other for a while, but you did hear about the hat that you're going to get at the end of this broadcast.
Yes, sir.
Which made it that you want to come. These are brand new. These are a new style, new design.
I should have already had it. I could put it on with you.
Well, yeah, some people have said that to me, and they said, "Dave, send me the hat so I can wear it when I'm on the call." But yeah, so anyway, man, just stay on for a couple of minutes. Next week, I said we have Antonio Stella coming on from Connecticut. That's going to be a cool thing. If you have any questions about how to grow your business, it's we had it on the screen before. ModernAgentExperience.com is where you go to register for our in-person session every Wednesday. Just reach out to either of us if you have any questions at Colton_Whitney on Instagram. Me, I'm at the Dave Finale. Look forward to seeing everybody. Colton, stay on for a minute or two.
Absolutely.
Hit the video, Nelson.
Hey.